never named you to be a noun. He named you to be a name. That's why W in Genesis chapter 2 is capitalized, because you are woman, and Adam is capitalized and man is capitalized, because once God names you, you cannot be renamed. You're living in a society, for example, when you read the Bible, you read the text, it'll say there was a man born blind, because God never named him blind. I'm moving too fast here. But God did name him man. But we'll preach it like this: there was a blind man. And we use an adjective to describe the noun, but you're putting the noun, the proper noun, or the noun you're making blind. And so now when you see the man that was born blind, you now call him blind Bartimaeus. And so you made his condition his name. I'm moving too fast for you. And see, where we're living now, when people mess up in life and have a bad experience, you're supposed to get up and testify and say, my name is so-and-so, I'm a recovering addict. So if you keep putting the noun on my name, you're perverting what I am. I am a man who was addicted to alcohol, but I'm not going to name myself, hi, I'm Roderick, a recovering addict, a recovering alcoholic. I will never be delivered because you're putting that noun on my name. And what the enemy wants to do right now all over, he wants to keep people segregated. And I'm not simply talking about within ethnicities, but he wants to keep people segregated from this thing called the gospel of Jesus Christ. This is why everything is having a platform to speak to your psyche, to speak to the parasympathetic nerve that you and I possess, to confuse you, to make you become something that you were never supposed to be. I know people don't like this, and they may think that I'm becoming an old school person. It really doesn't matter. But homosexuality didn't become wrong today. It's been wrong. It's been wrong. It's been wrong. It's been a sin. Fornication didn't become wrong today. It's been wrong. Adultery hadn't become wrong. It's been wrong. It was wrong before we got involved. It was wrong before we even got here on the planet. And you can't rename a situation that God has already said what it is, and this is a violation of your relationship with God. But because you don't overcome it, you embrace it and say, this is my truth. See how I lost a whole lot? Don't you touch that dial. Don't you move off this page. Stay right there. Because here is the problem. Many people can't live victorious because they've accepted what people have called them. And nobody told them what they called you is not your name. Well, you know, you're not going to make it. Well, I know I'm not going to make it. That's all you've been hearing. And some of you have renamed yourselves. You've used failure and called failure has become your nickname. You use loneliness as your nickname. And what has happened, you're renaming yourself, and then everything that comes out of you has the tag of the name you put on yourself. Because you think you're a failure, everything come out of you is failure. Because you think you're no good, everything comes out of you, you think it's no good. But everything that you're doing right there, none of that God named. Be who God called you to be. Because once God names you, no one can rename you. Am I talking to anybody here? Listen, it sounds crazy. It sounds crazy. But I'm in the best time of my life right now, because now I read all the time anyway. But now with what's going on, I don't have a whole lot of flights to get on. I'm not on a plane every week. I'm actually sitting down and finishing some stuff, writing some new stuff, and I'm able to utilize this time, because now what the enemy wants you to think is you are what people call you. And if ain't nobody calling you, you're not anything. But you have to remember, whatever you are, God has already named you. And this other stuff you can put off you when they try to stick it on you. I don't understand. When God said you're fearfully and wonderfully made, if anybody treats you like a dog, if anybody turns their back on you, if anybody lies on you and mistreats you, it still does not take away the fact that you are fearfully and wonderfully made. Sometimes the enemy allows stuff to happen to try to get you to forget who you really are. But you ought to tell yourself, I don't care what happens, I am not going to forget my name. And I don't mean the name Roderick. I don't mean the name Pamela. I don't mean the name Amir. I mean who God named you to be. He called you a royal priesthood and a peculiar people. Oh my God, if you can just embrace what God has been calling you and not what housewives of such and such has been calling you and what they've been calling you on TV and reality and what the songs have called you and what fashion said you should have and how fashion said you should look. I'm going with what God said I am, because nobody can change my name.